Alright, what's up YouTube? This is your boy Alex. I didn't give you a video Friday or Saturday for 2 days. I wanted to give you guys a break. Today's YouTube video is going to be talking about masculinity. Yes, I have to make that YouTube video. So I decided that I thought maybe I make 3 videos about the rules of how to be the man. See, on YouTube, people don't like when they hear terms like an alpha male and a beta male because it gets on their nerves. Like, you look at Big Boss Calvin 83, he doesn't like the words alpha male and a beta male. So I thought, why not make at least 2 or 3 videos to explain, the history of it from my observation. I'm not here to give you an opinion because I don't believe in opinions, because opinions is an interpretation of what you think is right and what you think is wrong. Like, for an example, this t-shirt of Batman. One of the best t-shirts that you'll ever see in the store, but some people will say, well, that's just an interpretation of what I personally think. Here, I'm not here to give you an interpretation of what I think when it comes to a t-shirt. I'm here to talk about the rules of being the man. So this is only part 1, sex game, the rules to be the man. And of course, with these videos, I always throw in some sports to try to give you good, clear examples. Now, in 1972, there was a man by the name of Ric Flair. Perhaps you know who I'm talking about when I say the legendary 16-time world heavyweight champion in professional wrestling. I'm going to say it again. Woo! I'm the Nature Boy, 16-time world heavyweight champion, baby. Wheeling, dealing, jet flying, son of a gun. Woo! I know that was a bit way over the top. I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all like, damn, Alex, why you gotta go Ric Flair on us like that? Because that's how I make my intros for these videos. Now, in 1972, the Nature Boy Ric Flair was, at the time, I think a 2-time or 3-time world heavyweight champion in professional wrestling. Now, at that point, he was not in World Wrestling Entertainment. He was not in WCW yet. This was the 70s, so he was doing promotions for other companies. He wrestled in Japan. He wrestled in China. He wrestled in Mexico. He wrestled in Canada. He basically was wrestling all over the world at this point. And one day, he had to do a house show. I'm not sure if it was in the South Wrestling division at the time. They had a wrestling promotion in the South besides Jimmy Crockett promotion, because he had to do a wrestling match, I think either in Missouri or in St. Louis or in an area nearby. And one day, for whatever reason, their airplane malfunctioned, the engine caught on fire, crashed, and miraculously he survived an airplane explosion. Like, the airplane caught on fire and then it exploded, or if it didn't explode, it just caught on fire. Either way, the case was he survived. Now, he was told by the doctor that he had a 2nd-degree head concussion and that you will never do wrestling or any sport ever again. And Ric Flair looked at the doctor and said, "Doc, do you know who I am?" And the doc says, "Who, Ric Flair?" "I am a 2-time world heavyweight champion in professional wrestling. My job is to entertain the fans. The people paid their money to come see me perform and to give them the belief that I am the man. Not alpha male, the man." And the doctor said, "But you can get seriously hurt or worse." And Ric Flair said, "Well, I don't have time to sit on my ass, lose paycheck after paycheck. I got a family to provide. I got to lace these boots up, get these tights on, and get my ass down to the arena and give the fans a show." And Ric Flair got the stitches, and that same night he performed in front of a packed out, at the time, I don't know if it was 19,000 or 20,000 screaming people strong. I mean, it wasn't how it was when Vince McMahon, made wrestling what it is today, where you just got millions of people. But I think in that little territory in the South that had like 19 or 20,000 people in attendance, and he defended his title against whoever he had to defend his title against. And he won the match and retained his championship belt. Now you might say, Alexander, what does Ric Flair's story in professional wrestling has to do with you making the title called Sex Game Rules How to Be the Man? Because fast forward 30 years later, Ric Flair wrote a book called To Be the Man, You Have to Beat the Man. And Ric Flair strongly believed in that in all sports: basketball, football, baseball, soccer, tennis, track and field, swimming, professional wrestling, boxing, martial arts. No matter what the sport was, no matter what your job title was, Ric Flair strongly believed that if you wanted to take another man's spot, you had to compete to be the best of the best. And you were to have no excuses. And Ric Flair showed a prime example of what true masculinity was. The man basically got a head concussion, thought about it. I could go home, get rest, take it easy for 5 months and lose 5 months worth of paychecks, or I can get my ass up and go out there and wrestle in front of these 19 to 20,000 strong people. And that's what the Nature Boy did his whole entire wrestling career. Today, we get people complaining that we don't have any real men. That a lot of men today in 2018 are cowards, they're losers, they run behind their mama, they let a woman do their job for them, they don't get taken serious, they get no respect whatsoever. And that's why I made this video, to kind of, I don't know, take a match out and lit the fire under a lot of people's asses and remind them that you can be a man like Ric Flair, the Nature Boy, 16-time world heavyweight champion. Yeah, I know professional wrestling's fake, but, well, then again, if you get seriously injured, then that's a different thing. But the point I'm trying to make in the video is that society today doesn't want no man to be a man. And where did the term alpha male and a beta male came from? Well, see, in the late 1990s, early 2000s, it came from these jackass pickup artists. The same jackass pickup artists who told you that if you get all the hot chicks, you're an alpha male. But if you are boring and you're lame and you don't have no game, then you're in a beta male. That's where that bullshit comes from these jackass pickup artists who make you come to these damn seminars, whether they're in Los Angeles, California, whether they're in New York City, Miami, Florida, whether they're in Chicago, whether they're in Dallas, Texas, San Antonio, Texas, Houston, Texas, whether they're in Las Vegas, whether they're in Phoenix, Arizona, wherever they have these bloody ass pickup artists community seminars where they charge you $500, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. In some cases, they can charge anywhere between $1,000 to like almost $20,000 just to attend these stupid seminars that last 2 to 3 hours, some cases 4 hours, to explain a bunch of nonsense to a group of men who, for whatever reason, failed to physically, sexually attract the opposite sex. And they tell you that you need to be an alpha male, you need to be a man. But what they don't want to talk about is, what does it take to make yourself go from a boy to a man? Now, another prime example of that's too straightforward or that's too complex and confusing, let's look at the 1998 film Blade with Wesley Snipes as the character Blade, the vampire hunter. Now, in this movie Blade, they actually show you again the true embodiment of what it means to be a man, what it means to be masculine. Now, in this movie, you see there's all these vampires in a wave club. You know, there's this guy who thinks he's gonna get laid, and and he finds out that the girl he's trying to get laid from, he finds out she's a vampire. And that the only reason why she took an interest was because it was fun to her that he didn't understand what kind of world he was living in. He was living in a world where vampires took over the world, and he could not understand that. And when he saw that no one would help him, he was getting his ass stumped out. All of a sudden, here comes a guy with a black jacket, a samurai sword, black sunglasses, and a short haircut with a serious look on his face. All of a sudden, the vampires go, "That's him. That's the Daywalker." See, the real true embodiment of masculinity is a man doesn't have to tell people, "I am the man." When Blade walked in there, they were terrified because this weren't just any vampire. This was a vampire that was half human and half immortal. He had the ability to walk into the sunlight. And when they started pointing and saying, "That's him, that's him," his reputation preceded himself. That he was the man. You saw the smirk and the smile, that he knew that they knew he was the man. That no one could rise to his level. And that was a perfect example of what true masculinity is. If that movie is still hard for you to understand and it's complex, look at the movie with Hollywood actor Michael J. White, who portrayed Al Simmons in the movie Spawn. Once again, it is a true representation of the true embodiment of masculinity. In the movie Spawn, you see a guy who goes to hell for 5 years. He comes back to planet Earth. He has his memory fragmented. He can't remember anything. And then he gets it back in pieces. And then he gets told by an old man that it ain't about power. It ain't about strength. It ain't about fame or fortune. It's about repenting for what you've done in the past. Now, in the beginning of the movie, he's arrogant. And that's what got him sent to hell in the first place. You know, he killed people. He made the wrong mistakes. In the middle of the movie, we see the change in Spawn. And then finally, at the end of the movie, the old man says he has finally repented and that his true potential is unknown. Meaning, it's unknown if he's going to become exactly what he was going to become had he not got sent to hell in the first place. So that was a representation of the embodiment of masculinity. Now, let's look at another movie. Robert Downey Jr. in the movie Iron Man. Here's a guy rich and famous who all of a sudden he has a conscience. He starts to question that all the things I've been doing, have they been to, instead of helping people, have I been doing is hurting people. And when he comes up with this great invention, everyone wants their hands on his new project. And then you see all the trouble he has to go through to try to right his wrongs that he's done for so many years. And then, of course, there's Christopher Evans as Steve Rogers, Captain America. And what you see in today's time period is that society doesn't want a man to be a man. Society wants a man to be a bitch. Just be a marshmallow, be weak and soft, and not question anything or not try to take things to the next stage of evolution. And you did not get put on this world to just be bare minimum. You got put on this planet for a specific reason, for a specific purpose. Like Agent Smith said in The Matrix, you only exist because of purpose. And without purpose, you would never exist. Purpose is what guides us, drives us. Purpose is what makes a man fall in love with a woman in love with a man. Purpose is what makes a man wake up every morning with a sense of pride, reassurance that when I walk out this door 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, I'm going to be the best of the best and be the best I can for me. And if I fail, I have no regret that at least I gave it all I had and more. Society don't want you to be Wesley Snipes' Blade. They don't want you to be Al Simmons' Spawn. They don't want you to be Tony Stark Iron Man. They do not even want you to be Steve Rogers Captain America. And they sure in the hell do not want you to be the 16-time World Heavyweight Champion Nature Boy Ric Flair. Because those were all men. Now that I explained to you about that part of the man, let's talk about why women think men think they're entitled to having sex. See, as a man, you're supposed to find women physically, sexually attractive. You're supposed to look at some ass or some titties, some long legs, nice, beautiful smile. You're supposed to look at them nice cheekbones. You're supposed to. And when women start this feminist bullshit and try to say you got masculinity or you toxic masculinity, there is no such thing. There is a good man and then there's a bad man. But by the end of the day, both have something in common. They both find women physically, sexually attractive. And if you go back to the beginning of time, when the prehistoric age was amongst us, the man went out and killed and hunted food for the woman. And the woman would go cook the food because that's what the woman's role back then was. Now today, you have this thing that they call role reversal, where the man is a female. I believe you guys in the hood call that being a bitch. And the female becomes the man. And then you get all these complaints from black men and Latino men and white men that the woman is too masculine. She's too much like a man. And they don't find that physically, sexually attractive. And you see, here's another lesson. This is only part 1 of the video. Part 2 is where I'm going to talk about what type of women you should mess with and what type of women you should leave the hell alone. Each video is going to be re-examining the good, the bad, and the math, and the science. And all my videos, part 1 is a history video. So if this sounds boring to you, it's because it's only part 1. Part 2 would be more of a fun and enjoyable video. Until then, peace.